Hey pilots, this is Pete with BananaHobby.com. Welcome to your hands-on build review of the 1400mm P-51 Mustang made by FMS Blitz RC Works. If you have not seen or watched the What's in the Box review, by all means, I urge you to please go ahead and watch that. And if you did watch that, that What's in the Box review was done on the color scheme called the Gunfighter. Today's build will actually be a different color scheme. And this is the big, beautiful doll in the P-51 Mustang. As you can see, I have everything laid out in front of me and pretty much ready to get hands-on here and start the build of this beautiful P-51. A couple of tools that I always like to have on hand. Just want a couple of different size Phillips head screwdrivers, a flathead. Sometimes you don't even need it. Definitely you would need some sort of like a needle nose pair of pliers and your basic hobby knife. And then the supplied screwdriver actually works out pretty good. So this is the bag of all the accessories that we will be going into once we start the actual build. And for some of the gluing on here, all we're going to need to use is the provided rubber contact cement, because this P-51 actually builds very, very quickly, very easily, and there's not much gluing on here except for some surface stuff, like the cannons, the guns, and the wing fairings. The whole tail section here is actually going to be screwed down with screws. So with that, let's go ahead and bring the camera in and just get our hands dirty and start this beautiful build. Make sure you have a plenty big enough area, and if you have a helper that can help you build, that would be the best. Sometimes it's easier with another person to hold the fuselage, hold the wings, you know, that kind of stuff. So let's go ahead and get the build going. First of all, you have your supplied manual. We will revert to the manual and see where we're going to go with the manual. And you have a sheet of decals, and I did find out that these are not water decals. These are actually peel and sticks. So this will make the final scale appearance even better there. They're just decals for like the doors and tell you like, you know, all the little details on the airplane. This right here is your ESC manual. You do not want to lose this. Once we get into the setup stages of this airplane, I will talk about something that is very, very important, and that is how to set your throttle endpoint calibration. All right, let's go ahead and set the manual aside, and then let's go ahead and open the pages here, and let's go ahead and just jump into step number 1 here. Okay, step number 1 calls for us to install all of the control surface horns. So that's what we will do now. I'm going to empty out the contents. I'm going to go ahead and move the fuselage for now because we don't need the fuselage. Okay, these are the contents of we can move those. We don't need those for now. We don't need those. Here's a little screwdriver that's provided. Okay. All right, that bag actually is for spares. It says replacement. So this is a bonus bag here. And when I open this box here, if you watch the What's in the Box review, I actually received a free gift from FMS Blitz, and it's an extra set of main propeller blades. So this is an awesome bonus here. So you never know what you're going to get in there. It could be another motor or speed controller, retract or something. All right, here's bag number 1 for the aileron. Bag number 2 for the flaps. We don't need that right now. Bag number 3 for the elevator and for the rudder. And they are listed in separate bags and very, very clear. So what we're doing now is we're going to go ahead and install the control surface horns. And we're going to just jump right into this thing here. Let me grab a different screwdriver. I actually like to use the provided screwdriver. However, sometimes a different tool makes it just a little bit quicker. And I had this little driver here. This is what I'm going to use, and you can also use this, and I'll explain why as we go here. Let's go ahead and just start with the horizontal stabilizer. Okay, this is the top side and the bottom side actually looks pretty much the same. The bottom of the horizontal stabilizer will have this notch here, which is going to be inserted into the fuselage, and the top will have a little plastic washer, so keep an eye on that so we don't install the horn on the wrong side. Let's go ahead and grab these 2 bags, 3 bags, put them out of the way. We have the elevator bag. Before we do that, I want to give you a tip here. These are one-piece EPO foam hinges, so you do want to break them in a little bit. So they're extremely stiff right now, as you can see. If you installed it like this, your servo is going to have a hard time actually moving the surface. and it's jointed in the middle by a plastic bridge bracket, and this is pushing on one side, and as you can see, it won't move the other side very well. So this is another tip here. You want to grab it, hold it tight right here, and then go ahead and just give it some bending here. You want to bend it together and break them in. So we're basically just breaking in the EPO foam hinge here. And don't crank this thing 45 degrees or anything like that. We don't need to do that. We just need to just rotate this, 20 times or so, and frees up the hinges quite a bit. Now that they are freed up quite a bit, we can go ahead and just do one side, and the other side will follow. Okay, I would say this is pretty good there. Okay, let's go ahead and open the elevator surface horn bag, and we will install the horn here. Let's look at the screws. Okay, there are 2 extra screws in here. There is a tall screw and a shorter screw. So the tall screw will be going towards the thicker portion of the elevator here. Okay, the horn actually installs in this fashion. It's going to be the holes on here, the row of holes on here will be facing towards the nose of the aircraft. Go ahead and tighten the view here a little bit. Okay, so now that that's there, we're going to put the control backing on to the other side, hang on to it. Okay, longer screw will be towards the thicker portion, so it's going to go right there. Okay, and sometimes your little backing will slide off. Okay, this part here, sometimes you get lucky and you get it right on the dot. Sometimes you have to actually move the screw around. And this one actually just went in perfect. It lined up perfect. Shorter screw goes towards the back. Oh, once again, lined up perfect. You got real lucky. Okay, now that they're in there, now I'll go ahead and tighten them down. I didn't tighten them down yet before. And remember, this is going into foam, and that's one of the main reasons why I like using smaller screwdrivers and or the included one. If you have something that's larger like this, or a Craftsman screwdriver set and it's got a big handle on it, it is very, very easy to over tighten these and then pull it right through the foam. So I just tighten it to where I can see a little bit of stress cracking on the outskirts and by the screw holes here, and I know that's pretty much ready to go. So that is a completely installed control surface horn to the elevator, and this is done. We'll set that aside. Right now we'll go straight to the rudder. Okay, I want to do the same thing. The rudder breaks free real easy, so we don't need to do too many movements here. Okay, that's good right there. We'll call that pretty good there. And let's see, the rudder one will be on the left side of the rudder here. So sitting from in the cockpit view, we always talk about the airplane from the tail forward, so this is the left side. So we're going to go ahead and grab the bag. These extra screws here, make sure you set them aside, mark the bag, and you can actually use them later on if you have a bad screw or something like that, or you're missing a screw. Okay, here we go. Okay, I have the bag for the rudder. Everything is here, and it looks like we give you one extra screw here, or one extra screw is provided, and they are the same length. So let's go ahead and get the horn on here. Get the backing on there. Okay, everything looks good. We go to the thicker side first and see if we can go ahead and get that. Nope, this time it didn't line up. Actually, it was my fault. I didn't line up the backing here. There we go. Now we're going to go ahead and press. Sometimes it almost seems like these screws are a little bit too short, which they're not. It's right there, and the reason why they do that is, we can give you really long screws, but then they'd be sticking out that far, and then you have to clip them off, and then it becomes a sharp edge if you just actually use cutters or something like that. So these screws actually are the perfect size, and then once you get them lined up and screwed down, they are, very, very flush, and you don't have to cut anything there. Okay, this back one here is giving me a little bit of a hard time, as you can see, but wiggle it around and you can look at it, and you can see that it's lined up now. So now we're going to go ahead and tighten it down. And that's plenty. Okay, so that's a completely installed and ready to go control horn on the rudder here. Go ahead and set the rudder down. And now we are going to move to the main wings here. And basically, it's the same principle. So I'm going to go ahead and cut the video right here. And I'd like for y'all out there to go ahead and install the control surface horns onto the main wings with the holes facing the front of the leading edge here. Actually, I wanted to talk about something really quickly here, so to clarify something here. You have two bags here. One is for the aileron, one is for the flap. Just for everybody that is not familiar with that, your inboard here, okay, that your wing root is over here. This inside one is the flap. This one only comes down. It doesn't go up, so this is the flap. The outboard here, these are your ailerons. Okay, so that's just for clarification there. So now go ahead and install your ailerons to the aileron one and the flap to the flap. And we'll meet you back here. At this time, you should have all of your control surface horns installed onto your flap and your aileron here. Just a couple of tips for you here. Your control surface horn backing, it has a little notch on top, and that is actually the side that you want to have it facing down. So if you didn't do that, and the screws may come out to be a little bit too short, so you want that to be facing down, the side on the backing with the little notch on it. Just another tip that I should have said that to you in the beginning there, but I just realized that you could actually mount it both ways. So if you mount it the other way, as long as the screws are fine, you're okay there. Okay, so this is ready to go. And over here, I just want to give you a couple of tips here. Your bags have the included push rods here. You want to make sure you put the push rods back into the flap bag and the aileron bag because we're not doing any push rod installation right now. However, before we do that, there is something I wanted to show you so that you can have an understanding of what this is and what we're doing with it. Okay, this is the push rod, and this is the push rod clevis. In the bags included, you're wondering, you know, what are these little rubber O-ring looking like things like the, you know, rubber bands for braces or something like that. And what they are, you're simply going to slide one of these onto the push rod here, and then you're going to push this all the way forward until it reaches the plastic, and then just leave it there. What this is, once you have the clevis pressed onto the control surface horn, we're going to grab this rubber O-ring here and then pull it up all the way. So it's like a secondary protection to keep the clevis from popping open. So that's what it is. So we have this O-ring. Go ahead and push it all the way to the forward side. And then I'm going to set this like that, and I'm going to set this back onto the flap bag. So I know these are for the flaps. The ailerons are a little bit longer, and we're going to do the same thing so we don't mix them up. But if you can remember that the ailerons are a little longer, then you'll be okay. If you mix them up, it doesn't really matter because when you go to install these later on, once your servos are centered, you're going to notice that they're not either going to be too long or too short. So that's not a big deal there. Okay, so we have that pretty much out of the way. Let's go ahead and revert back to the manual and take a look and see what the manual says for us to do now. All right, let's see here. Okay, well the manual is pretty clear with the next step, and let's go ahead and just follow the manual here. Actually, I'm going to actually jump here because this will make it a little bit easier. I'm going to start building this Pete style basically, and what I mean by that is the manual actually wants us to join the main wings right now, which I guess you can, but I really wouldn't want the main wings to be attached to the fuselage right now while I'm working on the tail section. However, you know, having said that, I guess it doesn't really matter, but it's easier once you get the tail section on than to have your main wings on first and then you have to flip the airplane several times. So let's go ahead and do my style here, which what I'm going to do is I'm going to install the horizontal stabilizer and the vertical stabilizer to the fuselage. All right. Okay. So first of all, your horizontal stabilizer, we're going to test fit. We're just going to go ahead and press down right there. And the fit is perfect. And again, like I said, the tail section is actually screwed in. So we will grab our bag of screws here. And we're going into the bag that says 6 by 20. And these are self-tapping screws. Okay, if I make a mistake, then I will let you know. But so far, I think those are these screws. We have one screw going from the top here. And I believe these are the round screws. There's another bag of screws somewhere. Let's go ahead and find that bag of screws here. Okay. Oh, actually, there's actually longer screws in here and shorter screws. Okay. So the longer, okay, so we both learned together. We're going to put this back down here. The longer screw is actually going to go here into that plastic washer area. And here I will use a little bit bigger of a screwdriver because we're going into tapping into straight plastic here. Okay, I made a mistake, so we are going to backtrack here because it either didn't, I don't think I found the, oh yeah, I didn't make a mistake, it didn't line up. Okay, go ahead and this area here, I'm going to use my needle nose here, and I'm going to move this around until I find that pilot hole. There it is. Because I looked underneath there and I could see that it actually screwed into the foam right next to the hole, so we don't want that. There we go. Now we are in the right spot. And we will tighten her down. Okay. And this portion here, I'm going to loosen it a little bit and make sure that the horizontal stabilizer is seated perfectly forward. Okay, it is. And when you tighten this down, you're tightening it into a foam washer, so be careful. Don't over tighten it. We just want it tight enough. And you can kind of see the washer starting to collapse just a little bit. Okay, that is perfect there. Okay, the second part of here, there's another screw that actually goes into here, but we can't access that just yet. I'll talk about that a little bit later and how we're going to do it. There's one more screw for the horizontal stabilizer, and it's inside the tail retract. Okay, we need to get the tail retract open to go ahead and open to get that. If you have a receiver system set up ready to go ahead and open that now, and then we can do that. But I'm going to actually leave it alone and install that part when I get to actually putting my receiver in. So you got to remind yourself not to forget. So now we're going to go ahead and test fit the horizontal stabilizer here. And the horizontal stabilizer just slides in from the front side here. And then you want to make sure that you get your rudder control surface clevis out of the way, and we're going to put a little bit of an angle in the elevator, and then we're going to slide this part down right there. Okay. I'm going to push forward. There we go. And right down. Perfect. Okay, so this part, if you have somebody to help you, it'd be easier because you can have somebody hold the elevator up. That slides in at an angle, and it makes it a lot easier. Okay, so once we're there, I'm going to grab my old school crate here. Going to take the canopy off. Magnetic, pops right off. And I'm going to set her inverted onto my crate here. Actually, let me just do it this way. Okay, there we go. Okay, so we have one screw that's going to go in from the bottom side here. Get the camera out a little bit more. And there's another plastic washer right here. So we're looking at that one, and we're going to go to the longer screw once again and see if that's the correct one, which it looks like it is. Okay, we're going to just go ahead and screw this in. Perfect. I found the pilot hole right away, so that's good. Go ahead and tighten this down. That's good there. It's pretty tight there. All right. So basically with that, your tail section is already complete on this beautiful, big, beautiful doll P-51 here. Get that out of the way there. Here we go. So I'm going to get the fuselage right now. I'm going to put the fuselage out of the way and move on to our next steps here. I noticed that on some of the P-51s, all the extensions and everything are coming from inside of a bag here, but this one, for some reason, it was inside the fuselage. So I guess it'll come either or. But definitely get these out of the way. I'm going to save them for right about now because we are going to do the main wing joint here. Okay, so here I have your right wing and your left wing. And this part here is very, very important. On your wings here, all of these wires are zip tied together. So you want to cut the zip tie off, but you got to be really careful because you could easily clip one of the wires. So I get sharp cutters and I always go from the bottom up, make sure all the wires are clear, and then I can go ahead and clip off the zip tie and just discard the zip tie. Okay, now that you've done that, you want to kind of just give it a little bit of a pull here on the wires. And I've actually cut the wire before on a different airplane, and it's just not fun because then you have to reconnect it, solder it and stuff. So we want to go from under the zip tie, like this one's really tight, so we still got to make it down there. There we go, under the zip tie and clip up. There we go. Good to go. Kind of give it a tug with your fingers here just to straighten out the wires. Once the wires are less kinked, it makes the next portion quite a bit easier. Okay, so now let's go ahead and grab some Scotch tape, or just clear tape, whatever tape you have, packing tape, they all work. Okay, we've got a bunch of stuff in the way here, so let's go ahead and move some of the stuff that we are not using at this time. Okay, what we are doing now is we are going to join the main wing. So make sure you grab your main wing spar and the strength spar, the strengthening spar, basically what it is to give it the strength for the main wings here, the composite one. Okay. Now we will insert the composite into the back hole, the rear portion, until it stops. Don't push too hard, just until it stops. And then the front one will be for the dihedral here. The dihedral one is one with the V shape in it. Okay, we're going to go ahead and make sure that goes in and stops right there. We can't insert it if it's crooked down any direction, so we want to make sure that this is pointing up, which it is. Okay, and now we just want to make sure all of our wires are clear. There is a channel right here cut in, so that's where your wires are going to be running to. So we'll go ahead and move this up, and then we're going to go ahead and insert the right wing now. There we go, line up the composite rod. We are good. Get all the wires. They can sit there for now, and then once we get it closer, we'll go ahead and get the wires out of the way here. Okay, we're going to press this part here. If you have somebody to help, it'd be great. I'm going to grab the wing tip here so I don't push. There we go. Sweet, smooth. Okay, now I'm going to get all the wires out of the way because we're going to press this all the way home here where it meets the wing root. And again, this part here does not call for any glue, so we don't need any glue. If you choose to use glue, it's going to be up to you, but right now we don't need any glue. Okay, so now that we're there, let's grab our bundle of Y splitters, and we're going to plug them in accordingly to the names on here. All of these have little tag stickers on them, and it tells you which one is what, and numbers. So we need that one, we need this one, and we need this one. Okay, let's go ahead and start with channel number 1, which is this Y splitter, and this will be for your ailerons. So you're going to look for all the connectors that say channel 1 and aileron, and then we're just going to line up the colors here and press it together. This part here, always good if you have some packing tape, electrical tape, just tape it up just for precautionary stuff, measures, Okay, so aileron, line up the colors. Okay, we are good. that connector is ready to go. Now we'll do the flap. And it's also good right now when you're doing this part to just kind of gauge where the wires are, because if you have it all knotted together, it's going to be a headache later on. So right now, if you kind of spread them out a little bit, it makes it a lot easier. Okay, I found the flap connectors. And here I just want to make sure you take note here. The flap connector is actually black, red, and white. And the Y harness is brown, orange, and like a yellowish pumpkin color. Okay, when you have that configuration, you want the black to be lined up with the dark brown. The red still lines up with the center, and then the white lines up with the pumpkin yellowish color. Okay, so black to the brown. There we go. Same thing on this side, black to the brown. Double check your work. Okay, we're good to go there. Okay, these channel number 2s, these are actually going to be for your LED wingtip lights, and there is a Y harness for that as well. Okay, so we now have this harness, which is bundled together, and it's going to a tiny little PCB board. This is for your retract. And what this is, it's a sequencer, and it opens and it closes the doors before and after the retracts go in and come out. So you want to make sure you separate these, and then you'll see on here, one of them says channel 5B, the other one says channel 5C. So now let's go ahead and locate the channel 5B wires, or sorry, the channel 5C wires. Okay, the C's are here. So the C's will be for your sequencing gear doors. I'm going to go ahead and plug that in. Okay. Okay, I have C plugged in. The other one has 3 wires, 3 connectors here, and one of them is for the tail retract, which we will connect later on once we get the wing on the fuselage. So we're going to go ahead and connect channel 5B to channel 5B. Another 5B to the channel 5B, line up the colors. It's really important that you line up the colors. Sometimes the plugs won't go in if it's backwards, but if it does go in, it won't operate, so that's not a good thing. Okay, here we go. Let's go ahead and grab channel 2, this will be easier. Channel 2 was plugged into the airplane, so I unplugged it, and it's a 3-way split. So let's go ahead and plug in channel 2. On the channel 2, there's only 2 wires, so you just line up the brown with the brown and the red with the center here with the red. If in the event that yours comes like this with the channel number 2 harness plugged in, go ahead and unplug it from the inside of the fuselage and plug it into the wing first, because it makes this a lot longer and easier to handle once we're installing the main wing here. All right, so that is your portion of the wiring, and this loom here is pretty much ready to go. And here's another tip for you. The reason why I said to get the Scotch tape. These 2 gear door wires here, okay, get there. These 2 gear door wires here, you want them running down the center channel right here. If they're right here, it's going to be pressed up against the foam, and then you'll have a gap. So we don't want that. So we're going to go ahead and grab a piece of tape, and we want to just route these to the center portion here. And then I'm going to put 1 strip here just to hold down for now. You can see all these are out of the way now. And then I'm going to just go ahead and grab another piece of tape and come down this way. And it comes down to channel, and then there's a hole here. We just want it to be stopping right by the hole here. I'll just do it this way. It's easier. We're just keeping it from coming up there. So 2 strips of tape, just like that. Keep it in the center. It'll make the installation here a lot easier. All right, to get the main wing out of the way, we're going to grab the fuselage, and we are going to do the installation of the main wing right now. Cool. Hope you all are still hanging in there with me with this build. I know sometimes builds turn out to be long and tedious. However, it's not this video's not for entertainment purposes. It's so we could get an airplane built and to the field and flying. Right. Okay, so we have our fuselage here in the saddle. And what we're doing now is we're going to grab the main wing. Here we go. I believe we want to install the wing fairings right now. Okay, these pieces, glue right into here. So you want to make sure you find out what side goes where. The one with the black sticker seems to be on this side. There we go. Okay, so we want to install these first, and these are basically just glued in. So I'm going to set that down, set that down. We're doing that right now. We're going to grab our supplied rubber contact cement. Okay, it's closed on the top here, but we're going to pop it with the top here. The other side of the top has a little sharp portion that you just pop the glue with. And here we are not doing much, but just basically just putting glue, applying glue to the flat surface. There we go. We're going to just goop it on into the inside flat surface here. We don't really want the glue to be, oh, why did it stop? Oh, okay. Sorry about that. So we don't want the glue to be on the edges because it'll squeeze out, and these are just the wing fairings. So we just want it on the flat portion. Then we're going to go ahead and line it up here and just press. And that's it. That's how easy those wing fairings went on. We're going to do the same thing to this side. Okay, plenty of glue. And press. It's very important right here that you don't put too much glue, because if it starts oozing out of the area of the fairing in the front here, what's going to happen is it may touch the flap, and then the flap will be stuck there. So you do want to check that. Okay. Now we're going to grab our main wings. This should be pretty good there. So we're going to always periodically go back and check that to make sure the glue is actually stopped and the fairings are actually flush and not pointing out direction or anything like that. So now we have our main wing here. You see all those wires there? There's a hole here in the center of the fuselage. You can see that right there. We're going to insert all of these wires through this hole. This is where I said if you have a helper, it'll make it a lot easier because they can stay on the bottom side here and actually just grab these wires. And once it gets just about far enough, we're going to go ahead and pull the wing back. Okay, it's going to slide in from the tail first at this angle here. The backside, the trailing edge first. We're just going to slide it. Once it hits that, we want to look down here and see that all of our wires have cleared, which they have not, see? So now I'm going to go ahead and get my hand in there and press, get all the wires until they're nice and free and dangling in that hole. There we go. So now it's free. It's all clear. Now we push forward and sit it right down. And this is pretty much ready to go here. Okay, now my next step is I'm going to glue these down. These are the wing joiner retainers, basically. Okay, there's one for the back and one for the front. And the one with the jagged edges are for the back. So we're going to set that down. And then the one for the front, you want to test fit it to make sure the direction is right, which it is. Okay, see, this actually pulls the wing together. I actually don't see a reason why the manual actually says to glue these down. So I think it's a personal preference there. Because the bolts, once you screw them down with the main wing bolts, they're going to be screwed down already. But since the manual says so, I'm just going to put a little bit of glue here and here. We don't need a whole lot of glue on this one. And I'm just going to go ahead and press this down into place, just like that. That one's ready. The back one, I can tell where the jagged edges are already, so we're just going to put some glue here. And then down here. And a little bit here. Be aware that if you get rubber contact cement on your hand, it just actually, you can actually just rub your fingers together and it'll come right off. So we're going to slide the leading edge in, the trailing edge in first, and then go ahead and, got a little bit of glue on my hand there. Press the wings together a little bit. There we go. And then we're going to press down. There we go. Yeah, this portion would be a lot easier if I had somebody to help me. But since I don't, okay, there we go. So this is pretty much down and in place, but I can see that it's not lined up. So now I need to wiggle a little bit here. Actually, I'm going to get it. Let's see what's the best way to do this. There we go. Yeah, this would be easier if I had somebody to help me. But it's okay, I'm a professional. Somewhat. Okay, that's good enough there. We're gonna go ahead and make sure that seats back down. All right, that's pretty good there. Make sure I don't dent the foam. Okay, so now we move on to the main wing bolts here. This bag will have your main wing bolts. I believe there are a couple of extras in here. And we're gonna go ahead and grab the main wing bolts out. And you'll notice that there are 3 short and 3 long. We need 2 longs and 2 shorts, and the other 2 are spares. Go ahead and put my cap back on my glue before it dries. All right, I believe the longer ones are going to the front, so we're gonna go try that really quick here. Okay, let's see here. Let's try that in the back. Yeah, I believe the longer ones do go to the front, so we just want to make sure. Okay, let's try the shorter ones in the back. This is a guessing game here. The manual does tell you, but I'm pretty much guessing my way here. Okay, I think I got it wrong. I think the longer ones go in the back here. Yeah, the longer ones go in the back, and the shorter ones go to the front. Okay, this part, when you're doing this, it's always good to have somebody help you. It does make it easier. Okay, I'm going to get one side cinched down just to get it in the threads. And then this side, here's another tip. If your holes don't line up very well here, because the wings need to be pressed in just a little bit more, you know, if you had somebody to help, they can help you press it in, but you can actually just kind of pivot this hole here and line it up. That's what we'll do here. There we go. That's exactly what works. Now we press straight down. Okay, that screw is down and in place. Let's go and see if we have met the threads. Yeah, it looks like it has. Okay, we're not going to tighten it down all the way yet. We're just going to tighten it down to where we have the screw actually, bolt actually meeting the plastic. There we go. We do the front one there. That's how easy that is. We have positive contact with all. This one didn't. Okay, this one needs to be moved around. It didn't find the threads there. Sometimes this happens and you just gotta kind of move it around, wiggle it. Sometimes you get lucky and it finds the threads right away. Okay. This one doesn't like me. So the trick is to loosen the other side and then go ahead and wiggle this. I can see that the screw has a little bit of an angle in it, so I'm going to go ahead and try to. There we go. I'm going to get the screw out of there and take a look here. Looks like it should line straight up. I don't know why I didn't. We'll try it there and see. There we go. Now we have it now, so we're going to go ahead and tighten it down. And again, I don't want to over tighten at this time. You just want to tighten it to where it's just about there, and you can feel tension, and you can see some little bit of stress cracking around the edges. That tells you it's plenty enough there. Okay, that's about good there. I'm going to go to the opposite side. Awesome. We're going to call that good. Go to the back one. Cradle it, and press. Believe it or not, I'd rather build this airplane not on the table, but this part here, I'd rather have the airplane sitting on my lap. It's a lot easier. So that's another tip there. If you just, if you don't have anybody to help you, it's easier to have this thing sitting on your lap. There we go. Everything's tightened down. And I'm going to go ahead and remove this cradle, flip this P-51 back onto her belly side. And now what we want to do is go ahead and now grab your receiver and your transmitter. Make sure it's pre-bound. If you bought a ready-to-fly system from us, go ahead and get that at this time. And I'll show you a little bit about what we're going to do and plug it in. So right now, again, grab your receiver. If you're using Spectrum, just follow all of these tags here, channel 3, throttle, channel 2, elevator, and plug them into your receiver. Now that we have the receiver plugged in here, we need to check when you go to bind this, make sure you bind your radio. If you're binding it to your own Spectrum or your own photometer, make sure you bind it with the gear switch in the down position. Otherwise, every time you plug it in, the gears are going to come down. I have everything plugged in and bound already. If you get a receiver or transmitter from us, most likely it's going to be pre-bound, so you don't have to do anything there. But right now, we're going to go ahead and lower the gears. Okay, we have gear doors, main retract and tail retract all down and in position, and we are pretty much ready to go here. Perfect. Everything you're going to be setting up through your own radio, and right now nothing is plugged in. We have to do the control rods and everything, but before we go there to that portion of it, I want to talk about something that is extremely important. We're going to go ahead and use the battery requirement for this P-51 is a 4-cell 2600. And I believe the compartment has enough room if you want to go to a little bit larger of a battery. I'm actually not going to mess with this bundle of wires here yet and tuck them away. I'm going to leave them like that. Right now, we want to talk about the throttle calibration that is extremely important. I have had quite a few calls on it. We have left the main blades off. We haven't built the main blades yet. They're individual blades, so we leave that off until the concluding build portions, because right now we don't really want a big old blade right there spinning around. So I'm going to get down here so you can see me too. Okay, this part here is your throttle endpoint calibration, and what this is actually, I'm just going to go ahead and show you. When I'm going to go ahead and turn, everything is down in the correct position. My gears are down. I'm going to turn my radio on, and I'm going to plug in the LiPo to the airplane here, to the ESC. When you first bind it, make sure you hold on, have somebody hold it, or maybe have it suspended somewhere, so that there is no, sorry, I forgot to remove the bind plug, so that there is no possible way that if the retracts deploy and the gear doors want to come down, that it's going to bind. Okay, let's go ahead and do that again. I forgot to remove my bind plug. There we go. Turn the radio on, and we are going to plug in the battery. Okay. Satellite's solid, main light's solid. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. I've had a bunch of calls in regards to the FMS Blitz RC 1400 millimeter class, even though some of the smaller ones and the larger class P-51s and all the Warbirds with the motor on it pretty much. They plug it in and you have no throttle. You have no initializing sound, but you have all your control surfaces. All your servos are functioning, your retracts are working, everything is good, but you have no throttle and no tone from your motor. This is what I want to do now. you have to do a throttle endpoint calibration, and it is very, very simple. My radio is right here. I'm going to shut off. I'm going to unplug the battery to the airplane, turn the transmitter off. Okay. What we're going to do is turn the transmitter on, set the throttle stick to full high here, and then when you plug it in, you will hear two initializing beeps. When you hear those two initializing beeps, bring your throttle stick all the way down to the lowest position, and you'll hear two more initializing beeps. At that time, your programming is done. Disconnect the battery, turn off the radio, turn on the radio, plug back in the battery, and you'll hear initializing tones, and you'll have throttle movement on your motor. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that now. Radio on, throttle stick to the high position. That's also why I don't like having a propeller on there right now. We just want to be safe here. Throttle stick to the high position. We'll plug it in and listen for the first initializing sounds. 2 tones only. If you wait more than 2 tones, you've waited too long. You want to unplug and start over. 2 tones. There's your 2 tones. When the stick down to the lowest position, 2 more tones. That's it. The ESC motor just learned your stick positioning here, so it knows when it's at the lowest stick and when it's at the highest stick position. So now you still don't have anything, no throttle here. So we're going to go ahead and unplug, turn your transmitter off, turn your transmitter on. Now when we plug it in, it should beep and then give you initializing tones and then have throttle ready to go. And there it is. The throttle is set up and pretty much ready to go. And we can go ahead and give it some throttle now. Okay, so that is how you program your throttle endpoint calibration for the speed control here. And now we have to just go ahead and install the push rods and do some final checkups here and then some aesthetic stuff, and we're pretty much ready to go. But right now I'm going to go ahead and unplug the airplane. We're going to go ahead and build the propeller here. Here we go. So we have your bag of propellers there. Move the P-51 some more. Go ahead and get the blades out. Okay, one of them is labeled replacement. So this one is a spare. So we're going to get that one out of the way. Just keep that one handy. So when you nick a blade, you can actually just change one blade at a time. Okay, there's one. These blades are beautiful. They're strong and the paint is so nice. The decals are already applied. Bonus. Nice, okay? The remaining parts for your propeller build will be inside the spinner bag. You have your bag of screws, your spinner backing, and your spinner. Look how beautiful the spinner is. Just beautifully painted for the big, beautiful doll. Nice. Okay. Okay, here's the spinner backing. And this is the bag full of the lock nuts and the screws for the propellers here. And I believe there's a couple of spares too. Let's go ahead and check. I believe they are all one length for the screws, which they are. Okay, so we're just going to jump right in and start building this. Okay, you're going to grab one propeller, set it down on the flat portion here, on the spinner backing, turn it around, and you're going to insert 2 lock nuts here. 1, 2, with the smaller rounded portion facing the bottom side, facing up. And then just go ahead and grab your fingers and hold that there in place so that the lock nuts don't fall out. We're going to insert the Phillips screws here. Okay, they just touch. Okay, we're going to grab our screwdriver and we're just going to go ahead and start tightening this down. Don't tighten it down all the way yet. Just tighten it down to where you feel tension and then stop. Okay, that's pretty good there. Okay, I'm going to go to the other side here. I'll tell you something really cool about this P-51 as we're getting to the other portion of the propeller build here. So I could show you. Right now we're just doing this part. Okay, once we get there, pinch it, cover it with your fingers. Come on over here and insert the screws once again. There we go. And screw that down. Don't tighten it down all the way. Same as before. There we go. This one. This is a beautiful scale 4-bladed propeller system here. There we go. Okay. Nice. You know how long this would have taken me to build if this was a box of wood? It'd take me 3 months to get this thing in the air, or longer. And now we're, you know, quick build, beautiful scale appearance, great performance, scale retracts. Oh my goodness, I love it. Okay, those are all have tension. So we have 3 down, 1 to go. Get this, press down. Keep in mind, there are little holes on here, and there's little pins on the back of the propeller. Those line up with those guide holes so that you know that you're in position. You can feel it. Once you move it around, it'll stop, and then you'll feel it lock into place. And that is where you would want to start with your bolt configuration here. Okay. There we go. Okay, sometimes it takes a little wiggling to line up. This one takes a lot more wiggling. Oh, no, it's not. The hole was a little tight. There we go. Okay, this one is going to just need to be tightened down in. Yeah, some of them, if it doesn't press all the way in, just go ahead and use a screwdriver, and it'll just thread itself through that hole there before it gets to the lock nuts. Okay, so that's good to go. And that is good to go. So they are all in place now, and now we will actually go ahead and tighten it down. These are propellers into lock nuts, so you can put a little bit more pressure than, of course, than the foam. Okay, this one. However, you still don't want to use a big, huge screwdriver because you could still potentially put way too much pressure on it and then end up, you know, cracking the plastic on the propeller or something like that. There's 2 screws and 2 locking nuts for each screw, each propeller. So it gives it a lot of strength there. Okay, I'm going to call that pretty good. Okay, that's good. It's good to go there. Okay, before we install the spinner, we need to install the propeller onto the nose here. And what I want to talk about really quickly here is, you see, I get a lot of this. A lot of people were asking, you know, I don't want to fly it on the stock 4-bladed propeller, or I broke it and I want a replacement 2-bladed propeller. And once you get the 2-bladed propeller, your spinner doesn't fit because of the holes. But look what they engineered here. The spinner has regular holes here, slots cut out for the stock 4-bladed propeller, and then these are regular spinner cutouts right here. That angle right there is for a 2-bladed propeller. So if you can actually switch back and forth on this between a 2-bladed and a 4-bladed if you choose to fly out on a 2-blade. I'm talking about 2-bladed, like a 2-bladed APC-E propeller or something. So that's something really cool engineering thought there, you know, to help us out. Okay, let's go ahead and set that down. And at this point here, I always will do this. You have full visible clearance here to the inside of the cowling. So I will always get a screwdriver in there and make sure all the screws are tight. It never hurts to check them. FMS Blitz does a great job as far as making sure everything's tightened down, and they are. So that's ready to go there. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and spin this. We're going to go ahead and take the prop hub. This is called a prop hub, the prop nut. But we also call it a safety hub because this is also your bolt there. So we're going to take the spacer off. The back of your spinner will have a stop sign hexagon shape. We want to line it up with the hexagon shape on the motor shaft here, the prop shaft. And wiggle, press home, and there it is. Perfect fitment. Okay, once we're there, we're going to install the washer. The hair there. Install the washer and this prop nut, the safety hub. And this is how you tighten the safety hub. You basically can get the driver, the screwdriver that was included, you insert it through the hole here. Where is it? There it is. and you just crank it. Be careful here. Maybe use a rag or something to hang on to the spinner and the blades because they are kind of sharp. And then we just want to hold it like that and then tighten it down. Yeah, these definitely are sharp. I would definitely put a glove on or have some kind of a towel here to make it a lot easier. Here we go. Wow, that is sharp. Okay, so that is pretty tight there. And your beautiful 4-bladed propeller is on there and ready to go. We're going to go ahead and line up the holes here. 2 holes for the spinner. Perfect lineup. In the bag, you'll have these self-tapping screws. There's the short ones. Let me insert that into the spinner there. Use this. There we go. This right here, don't tighten down all the way, just until you feel tension again because there's 2 screws. You want to make sure everything lines up before you tighten it down. There we go. That one's good. Now we can tighten them down. Pretty good. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. The big, beautiful doll. All right. Now there's nothing left more to do but install the guns and the decals and your push rods, and you're pretty much going to the runway here. I'll show you really quick here about the decals and the engine exhausts here. Okay, beautiful plastic set here. And then the cannons, the guns on the wings, just like that. We're going to go ahead and use the supplied rubber cement. Right now you want to test fit. Make sure you get the side correctly. Okay. That one is right. So this one goes to this side. You can actually kind of look at it. If you find that there's some imperfections on this little gun thing here, you can actually switch it to the other side or something. Keep in mind there are 3 very sharp prongs in here, and they press right into the foam here. So let's go ahead and see here. Let's move this back this way so you can see. Okay, that works. I'm going to go ahead and apply. You don't need a whole lot of glue. This is just for looks. I'm going to go ahead and apply the glue to these prongs. 3. Just a little bit to the inside, not the whole thing, just a little bit to the inside of the flat portion here. That is plenty of glue to hold this thing on there. Okay. I'm at a really bad angle here, so let's try it anyway. We're going to go ahead and line up the holes with the markings there, and we're just going to press. Not bad for being on the wrong side of the airplane. It'd be a lot easier if I was on a table where I can move around in 360 degrees. Nice. So that's on there. Okay, so these are the exhausts. And they fit just like that. And go ahead and glue those pieces on now, and we'll come back and talk about the decal application. Now that you have the guns and the mock engine exhausts and the antenna and everything glued onto your plane, onto your P-51, we're here at the section where we are going to install our push rods here. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. Make sure your radio is turned on and the airplane is plugged in, and be sure to steer clear of the propeller here. And we're going to go ahead and install our push rods. And on our push rods, you will notice that the control horn here from the aileron and the flap here is actually different sizes. The aileron is a lot larger, a lot taller. We're going to go ahead and use the second from the top hole. Okay, so the top one we're not going to use. It's the one from the right below the top hole. So it's, if you count it from the bottom, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. It's the 4th hole. You can kind of see that this 4th hole is a little bit smaller. Okay, I'm on the wrong side here, but we're going to go ahead and insert, and that's it right there. And now we're just going to go ahead and find the center neutral point of the aileron, and then we're going to connect our control clevis right there. Which, let me just go ahead and go to the other side and get that one done for you so you can see what it looks like. Okay, so we know that this is going to be a little bit too long, so we're going to go ahead and grab the clevis and screw inward and making it shorter. That might be pretty close, so let's go ahead and, on the control surface itself, I will use second from the top hole once again. So this is a little bit too high. So we're going to go ahead and go down one more turn, second from the top. It feels just about right. You want to check it with the flap. So the flap is going to be nice and level with the fairing there, and you'll know that this will be level here. So we're still a little high. Give it one more turn here. There we go. One more turn, I mean like one whole turn. Okay, let's see. I'm going to say that that is pretty good, but I'm not happy with that. I'm going to give it half a turn. Okay, right, half turn here. And that is pretty level. Now I'm going to go ahead and press this down. Use this hand. Press this, you'll hear it. There we go, it just clipped in place. And then our little rubber O-ring here, we're just going to push all the way forward, just like that. And that is how you install the control clevis push rod to the horn. Go ahead and set all your surfaces right now, including the flap and the elevator and the rudder. And we'll meet you back over here and talk about the next part. Now that you have your ailerons and your flaps, the push rods installed and ready to go, we can check it out. Okay, so we have aileron, and then we have our flaps. Okay, these are ready to go into channels number 5 and 6. We are now going to install our, hook up our elevator and rudder push rods. And you're going to notice right away that your push rod for your tail section is probably going to be too short. And inside here, inside the fuselage here, I know you can't see it from that angle, there are 2 servos for the elevator and for the rudder. And there is a little screw on top, and it's called an easy connector. And that little screw is 1.5 millimeter Allen screw. So you want to get yourself a 1.5 millimeter Allen driver or a little Allen wrench, and then loosen that up right there. And then now you can actually go ahead and move the push rods into position and then actually just tighten that down. So we don't even really need to be moving the clevises in the back here. We're going to be adjusting it from the servo side. So now I'm going to go ahead and come down here, and I'm going to connect my rudder. I'm going to use a second from the top hole again. Snap it into place. We're not checking length or anything like that because we're not adjusting it from here. We'll be adjusting it from the servo connector itself. Okay, so that's good there. And then we're going to grab our elevator one, and again we'll use a second from the top and snap that down. There we go. And then pull that little rubber retainer back up, and that's ready to go. Right now I'm going to go ahead and just make sure my elevator is nice and flat, nice and level with the horizontal stabilizer, and then take a look and make sure my rudder is nice and even, nice and level there, straight. Okay, that's it. Now we're going to go ahead and come in here, and actually this push rod actually came off, so I got to reinsert this real quick here. If it comes out of the easy connector, just go ahead and pop it right back in. Not a problem. There we go. Which one was that for? That was for our elevator. So let's make sure there's nice and level again, which it is. There we go. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and tighten down the 1.5 millimeter set screw. And at this point here, I suggest that when you're tightening this, get your hand down, get one hand down in here, hold the servo, and then hold the rod as well to keep it from bending, so you can actually put some tension on that when you're tightening it down. There we go. That's good to go. And then we're going to do our rudder one. Just nice and straight. Right there. Perfect. Go ahead and tighten this one down now. Okay. They are nice and tight. Now we will check our rudder. And our elevator is good. Okay, I just noticed that my elevator servo, the back screw is a little bit loose. So we're going to go ahead and tighten that down. Always check your screws. It's always a good thing. It's not a bad thing. these come pre-built from the factory, but it's still a good thing to always check. There we go. And that's plenty of elevator there. Okay, we have all control surfaces are functioning and ready to go here. I've made a mess once again with the build, but that's what makes it so fun, because it is a build. Okay, now let's go ahead and talk about decal application. I have a couple of tips for you on the decal application. This portion here is literally, it's up to you if you want to go ahead and do this or not, but the manual has a page that tells you exactly where all the decals go by numbers. And if you follow the numbers, you won't go wrong. Let's go ahead and give you an example real quick here. Okay, on the wing right here in this area, the diagram tells us that is decal number 10. So we're going to come on here, we're going to locate decal number 10, okay? And it basically reads ground here. And this is my tip for you. If you have a X-Acto blade, break the tip off of it with a pair of pliers, throw it in the trash can, or tape it up or something like that. Just break the tip off a little bit, make it like a little bit dull. Or if you have any kind of a sharp, flat tool will work too. Because what I do is this. I will peel the sticker off. If I can get the sticker off of there. There we go. Once I get the decal off of there, some of these decals are so small, it's so hard to apply in the correct position, in the right place with your fingers, that it actually makes this a lot easier, where you just get your decal and then you lightly stick it to the tip of your X-Acto blade here. Okay, and now you can actually just go ahead and go down, and then you can see that the position is perfect, and then just press. That's one decal in position and ready to go. So right now I'm going to go ahead and spend some time here. There's looks like there's 30 decals to go on, so that's 15 per side, I believe. And we'll meet you back here with a setup and conclusion of this beautiful build here. All right, we're just about complete with the build of this beautiful P-51 here. I'm going to go ahead and stand her up on her nose, so this way you can actually see what I'm talking about here. Inside the wheel well, there is one more screw that we said that we were not going to forget to install. There's a plastic washer way down deep inside there, and that is where we need to install our last screw here. And it's the same size screw that we use for the top side. So we're going to use some needle nose pliers and line it up, and just go ahead and insert that. There we go. And then we're just going to grab our screwdriver and we're going to go ahead and screw this in here. Sorry about that there. A lot of bending up and down. Here we go. Go ahead and grab it, cradle her right there, and tighten that screw in. And I believe this one here, you can use the short one. The short one would be okay. Okay, we are good. I could feel the leading edge of that rudder vertical stabilizer tightening down. Perfect. Okay, that is ready to go. Go back over here. We have the drop tanks there. And the drop tanks actually just slide right on from the front side. I'll show you here. Okay. There we go. And then just press. That's how easily the drop tanks go on there. I can't see that side, so I'll come to this side. And slide the drop tanks. So you can opt to fly them with the drop tanks or without. They just look a lot more scale with the drop tanks on there. So that's personal preference there. All right, so let's go ahead and give it a final surface and everything check, and pan the camera out, and we'll see you back here. Thank you for joining me for today's build review of the 1400mm P-51 Mustang in the big, beautiful doll color scheme. Be sure to check out the What's in the Box review as well. And this has been a fun build. It was a short build. However, there's a lot of little tedious things that we had to do with this P-51 as far as the decals. It took me a little bit to apply all the decals, and I just think that it adds to the scale appearance of this beautiful P-51 to apply all the decals. Again, you don't have to apply those little decals that say, you know, fuel here, ammunition here, you know, all that stuff. You don't really have to do that, but it's personal preference, and I did, and this is a beautiful P-51 here. Wingtip LEDs light up. They're ready to go here, where our flaps are functioning. Ailerons, rudder, elevator, everything's good. Let's go ahead and give it a throttle test here. Yeah, you can see that she's pretty much ready for the runway here. Let's go ahead and show you the retracts here with the sequencing gear doors, and we're going to call this a wrap here. Check that out. Here we go. I can't see it, but it sounds like everything went in. Tail gear, everything is down and flat, and that is a good-looking, big, beautiful doll there. What a beautiful warbird. Man, so impressive in the 1400 millimeter category. Small and light and performance packed. Be sure to check out the flight review here. There we go. So with that, everything is good. Show you the flaps one more time from the rear angle there. And she is set and ready to go to the runway. Don't forget, this has a sliding back canopy too, as well. So you can actually taxi out like that and then slide the canopy forward when you're ready to take off. It snaps into place. What a beautiful product by FMS and Blitz RC Works. This is available at Banana Hobby. My name is Pete. Thank you all always for your support and for joining me for today's build. I hope you found it informational and you're able to apply it to your own build. A lot of the tips and stuff like that can be used towards other build and other aircrafts as well. Follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, and subscribe on YouTube. Don't forget to come by bananahobby.com to check out all the coolest and the hottest in RC, especially warbirds right now, and EDF jets. My name is Pete. We will see you on the next build.